On today's video, guys, we're going to be reflecting on some of my past gear acquisition history. I want to talk about a specific guitar that I once had and eventually sold. So I want to talk about some pros and cons. We're going to get into a technical discussion here, so hope you guys enjoy. Now, our first guitar here that we're going to be revisiting, and that really could be a combination of really three guitars. So let's go ahead and examine the brand of Mayones. For those of you guys that may not know, Mayones is a very high-end boutique guitar builder out of Poland. Without a question, Mayones, hands down, is probably going to be one of the most respected brands in the industry for your modern progressive guitarist. Excellent quality, fit and finish, craftsmanship is really top-notch. They make some really cool designs with a vast assortment of different exotic woods and beautiful finishes to choose from. During the manufacturing process, these guitars are plecked from factory, which is definitely not something you see every day. If you're looking for perfection when it comes to factory fretwork, definitely read more into the process of having a guitar plecked. It's really interesting. Obviously comes with a pretty hefty cost, so will be a lot for a company to invest in to be able to do that across the board for all models. So me personally, I've owned a total of 3 Mayones guitars, all of which, unfortunately, I have sold them for various reasons, which we're going to be unpacking here. First model I did purchase a couple years ago, it was a Mayones Duvell Elite. It was a 6-string model. This one had a beautiful eye poplar top, really nice looking instrument, kind of has that stealthy, aggressive look about it. Mahogany body, was very lightweight, had the typical 5-piece wenge Purple Heart neck with an ebony fretboard. This one had the bare knuckle TKO pickups, super massive, heavy, articulate, punchy sound as you would expect. Moving into ergonomics, some of you guys may know, in 2019 was the year they redesigned the Duvell to have a really nice, deep forearm contour on the top. Definitely a tremendous improvement over some of their earlier Duvell models. I'm a big fan of just having like that nice, that generous bevel on the front so you don't get like that hard edge on the wrist or forearm. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of what kind of led me down the path of deciding that these guitars just really weren't the best fit for me. The mahogany body was extremely lightweight. This guitar coming in right around that low 7-pound figure, which was really nice. One of the biggest issues with this specific guitar was neck dive. You have to take a look at obviously the weight and the density within the neck and body woods. Across the board, you're going to see that typical wenge Purple Heart 5-piece neck. Wenge and Purple Heart are very dense, heavy woods. So you combine that with a very lightweight body wood, such as this mahogany, and it's just a recipe for neck dive. So that was definitely something that I found was a bit frustrating. Regardless of playing position, whether sitting or standing, I just always found like I'm trying to just sit down and really focus on playing, practicing, and I'm just like kind of fighting just to prop up that neck as I'm playing it. So definitely a bit of a drawback there. So that was one of the main reasons that I decided to part ways with that guitar. From there, I gave it one more chance with a Hydra. That was another model that I decided to give a try. Always been a fan of kind of the headless approach with guitars. Obviously, you're gonna have a better balance and whatnot. Really, for me, the only downside of the Hydra is because it does not have that same dramatic forearm contour on the bodies as the updated Duvells. This one just didn't really quite do it for me. It was still a little bit on the heavier side. It was still close to around 7 pounds. At that point, there's really not much benefit in terms of saving weight with the headless, so I'd rather just have a regular headstock guitar with tuners. So I did some more research. I found another model which really caught my eye. I talked about this guitar on another recent video going about buying and selling experiences on Reverb. This guitar I picked up for a great price. I really was super thrilled to be able to get my hands on it. It was another Mayones Duvell Elite 6-string. This one had the black Limba body, so no color, no finish. This was just a clean, natural build. Black Limba, as you guys might have heard on some other discussion videos, can tend to be a little bit heavier. So where my head was at as far as approaching this guitar, having a little bit more heft, a little bit more chunkiness with that black Limba body, I was expecting this to be a little bit better as far as that neck dive concern, as opposed to the other model with the mahogany body. So got the guitar, arrived in excellent condition as expected. Playability was really good. Again, no quality control issues whatsoever. Beautiful, beautiful looking guitar. We should have put up a picture. This one balanced much, much better. It was about a half a pound heavier as compared to the mahogany body version. So about 7.5 pounds. This one definitely had much better ergonomics. No issues really with neck dive on the black Limba version. This particular guitar, although it had the same 5-piece wenge Purple Heart neck, this one, for whatever reason, had a little bit less of a coarse grain. I mean, it definitely still had some very distinct texturing in it. It was still kind of porous, but I wouldn't say it was quite as dramatically open feeling as the other one. So that's just something that can vary depending on, one piece of wood to another piece of wood. The wenge Purple Heart, as beautiful and stable as it is, wenge is a very coarse, open grain wood. So if you've never played a wenge neck before, it's a very different experience. Some people love it, some people hate it. For me personally, it's just too much of a rough, open grain texture, which to me, it just doesn't really make for a fast playing neck. I'm not saying people can't play fast on a wenge neck. I know there's plenty of people out there that do it, but for me personally, it just really wasn't my cup of tea. So as far as stability, structural integrity, there's absolutely nothing wrong with wenge. It is a beautiful, beautiful wood. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. But as far as just the coarse texture of it, just was not really something that was a good fit for me. Side note, I do have one other guitar, which I have talked about on other videos. I'll leave a link right up here. The OD Venus that I have has a very thin 1/4-inch wenge lamination. And because of the way that particular guitar is finished, being predominantly maple, that guitar is really about the only exception for me as far as wenge necks, because you don't really feel the texture at all on that specific guitar. Again, if you want more information, I'll be sure to leave a link down below. If it was up to me, I really wish that the profile of the Mayones Duvell was a little bit different. I feel like at 43.5 millimeters nut width, it is a little bit on the wider side for being a 6-string model. Some people may prefer that wider neck. Again, that's really going to come down to personal preference, but having a slightly thicker neck and a wider neck was a bit of a tough combination. I know at 20 millimeters at the first fret, most people would consider that fairly thin. I do wish it was a little bit thinner, maybe like a 19 millimeter. I feel like that would be a little bit more comfortable to play. Again, especially considering how much wider those necks are than most 6-string guitars on the market. So for me, that wasn't really the best combination, so I ended up selling that particular Duvell Black Limba. Again, beautiful, beautiful guitar, zero issues in terms of quality and craftsmanship. I really feel like this is one of those brands where it's, probably 85% of the way there in terms of kind of meeting my criteria. If they had slightly thinner necks, maybe not quite as wide on the nut width, and perhaps maybe a different type of neck wood, maybe instead of like the wenge Purple Heart, maybe do like, a maple or like a walnut, or some other type of lamination with a little bit less of that coarse texture. If you were to take maybe 10 random guitarists off a street corner and you were to hand them a maple neck and a wenge neck and ask them which they would prefer, I would say it's fairly safe to assume probably at least 7 out of 10 would prefer the smooth, glassy feel of the maple as opposed to the coarse, rough texture of the wenge. So that's my experience with Mayones guitars. Again, I have owned 3 and since sold all 3 of them. I want to be super, super clear. This is all personal preference, totally subjective, nothing wrong with these guitars in any way. They just didn't really quite meet the mark as far as my personal criteria for what I'm looking for in a guitar. So that's all for this one, guys. Be sure to let me know your thoughts down below. If you have any questions, comments, experiences you want to share with these guitars, I'd be more than happy to respond in the comment section below. Be sure to leave the video a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.